I can't do that right now. Oh my god, what is this light up on my head? Oh god. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that. So, good morning, guys. Yeah, this is the first time I'm doing my live stream on this channel, so be nice. Yeah, so I was just thinking about several topics that I can discuss on this channel that's more like um, go together with the channel itself and what the channel is about. So yeah, just woke up. Don't mind my Bottega bonnets. That's just something I say. Yeah, so I have been. Yeah, I've been having this uh, more like monologues, not really monologues because me and my partner, husband, usually we have these debates about certain topics and the current things that are happening in the world. Yeah, and the other day I was just thinking about the Ceuta situation, and I was like, I don't know if I said that right, Ceuta, the so-called Spanish territory in Africa. I know there was a lot of talk about immigrants going into Europe and Italy sort of suspending their uh, access for Spaniards to go to Italy, and that was all crazy. But yeah, this just had me thinking. I mean, my channel, I discuss, on this channel, I usually discuss like issues affecting minorities, issues affecting black people, issues affecting Africans, basically what the world is turned into. And it's just something that I have noticed that whenever, as okay, so the point is, I give these perspectives or based on, or I give these perspectives as an African person, and from my own perspective as an African person, there's been a lot of discussion about neo-colonialism, and every time we are like, there is neo-colonialism, everybody's like, what do you mean? There's no such thing happening, you know? So I've been thinking, the Ceuta situation, when it happened, and the news was basically framing it as migrants have broken into Spanish border. Yeah, migrants have broken into Spanish border, and then you go on a map and you look for where Ceuta is, and you realize that, oopsie, Ceuta is in Africa. And I was like, this is exactly how it happens. People say things that are not true, and instead of leading with the right information, they say something like, oh yeah, these migrants, they came here illegally. Okay, when there's already a discussion about illegal immigration and how people feel about that, and sorry, I'm doing the dishes, so it might be loud. And there's all these topics surrounding illegal immigration and how people feel about that, and how people feel about immigrants in general. Because let's be honest, guys, it's not just illegal immigration that they're worried about. They're basically worried about immigration as a thing, as a whole, you know? And I have had scenarios where something has happened, let's say maybe in America or in Europe or something, and we have had these discussions with my husband, and I'm just like, I have taken so much time trying to explain to him how neocolonialism works and how neocolonialism still happens to date. Like, for example, how are you going to say that? Okay, for a long time, I was like, Moroccans are delusional. Like, what do you mean you're Europeans? And then this little situation happened, and I was like, maybe Moroccans are not delusional. Maybe the fact that this little territory that sits on their own land is the reason why they think they're Europeans. But I know that's not true. I know that's not the angle where Moroccans are looking at it from. Moroccans are basically looking at it from the fact that they are not black. Okay, let's just have that. They're looking at it from a point of, we are not black. Our skin is not black. We are not Africans. We are Europeans. Okay, and yes, that's the situation. If anything, it showed them that they are indeed black. Okay, African, maybe. Let's get there. Maybe they will be disgusted by being called black. But yeah, so when this other situation happened, I was just telling my husband the examples of this neo-colonialism stuff and the way people are reacting, and people in the comment section just suggesting most vile things that should be done to people who are basically trying to leave their countries. Some people are running away from wars, some people are seeking asylum, some people are just, it's just a lot. Okay, it's just a lot. And people not understanding this, people saying that, oh, these people want to come into Europe, these people want to come and destroy Europe, these people want to come and ruin, I don't know what exactly is gonna get ruined in Europe, but yo, I mean, if you are someone that has done something wrong to someone else, you're always going to think that when tables are turned, this person is basically going to do the same thing to you. So I kind of understand why they have this perspective, but then again, most of them, it's just delusion. I mean, it's not like they care about people coming legally. They don't, because they treat people the same. Whether you're legal, whether you're illegal, they treat people the same. So if you're meeting someone on the streets and you're like, these immigrants, they come here, how are you giving that person the benefit of doubt of, or maybe they came here legally? You know, like maybe they're here, but they followed the law. They don't want that. That's the whole point. The angle of maybe they should come legally, that's just a talk. Honestly, let's just be real. That's just a tiny bit of excuse for why I am being mean to them, or why I shouldn't be mean to them, or yeah, that's just talk. Okay, so I watched this Ceuta situation and I was like, well, this is exactly why we say there's neo-colonialism happening in Africa. And people are always like, no, there's no neo-colonialism happening in Africa, or you guys just elect bad leaders. And like, don't get me started on us electing bad leaders, because come on, guys. You guys literally voted for this PDF file of a president, and now everybody's life is ruined, and people are trying to recover all over the world. Yeah, so better for some people doesn't always mean better for everyone. Yes, and to go back again, I know I'm yapping too much about the Ceuta situation, but to go back to the Ceuta situation, this goes to show you that for a European country like Spain to have a territory in Africa, what does that mean? I mean, these people couldn't even agree that slavery and colonialism were crimes against humanity, but it's okay for them to have territories in Africa. What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, these people are paying North African countries lots and lots of money just so they can keep black Africans from crossing the border into Europe, into seeking asylum, into running away from wars that they start in Africa. So I get I get that there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to hear about these stories. I get that there's a lot of people who feel nothing from these stories. But guys, a lot of us need to really wake up. Like while it's being run by 1%, if you're not part of that 1%, you're either part of the problem or part of the solution. If you don't speak about the problems, then you're part of the problems. If you're not okay to have these serious, uncomfortable discussions around race and politics and economics and all this stuff, for me, and especially if you have a platform, for me, it feels like you are part of the problem, because a lot of people avoid speaking about these things because, well, let's be honest, the gods of algorithms are not going to push your content when you start having these serious waking up conversations. But yeah, so for me, that's how I feel. The Ceuta situation was just, I think it was an eye-opening for a lot of people who were like, oh, they've broken into Spanish border. Like, it was more of trying to portray African immigrants as these people who are out of control and they just want to come in here. They want to come into Europe. The whole time, Ceuta is literally sitting in the continent of Africa. Like, they never left. Like, what do you mean? You know? So there's a lot of people who feel this is not about the color of their skin. This is not about race. This is not. Morocco is literally, deliberately, not just Morocco, but North African countries are literally doing some horrible atrocities. I know it's the same thing, but they're still doing some horrible stuff to Black African migrants who are trying to cross the border, who are trying to seek asylum. But when they feel like, oh yeah, we need to go, or we need to prove a point, or we need to do these things, then suddenly, yeah, it's okay. It's actually okay for them to swim, to jump, to go over the other side. But when it's someone who is like darker skinned, then suddenly it's a crime. Why? Why is it a crime? Honestly, why is it a crime? So these things happen because people have allowed this anti-blackness conversations they refuse to have. People have allowed these anti-blackness conversations they have refused to have with each other, with the world, questioning. I mean, there was a whole journalist who was saying something like, oh, you know, they're not these immigrants, this kind of immigrants. And I was like, which kind of immigrants? Oh, they're not like the other immigrants. Like, what? Basically, she was trying to say that these are white immigrants, these are light-skinned immigrants, these are Eurocentric-ish immigrants. And for them, this should be better. This should be considered not bad. I mean, it's not the fact that they broke the law, but it should be not that Spain having a territory in Africa is a good thing, but to them, this was like, oh, they're not like the others. These are different immigrants. These are people who probably have ancestry with Europeans and stuff like this. So, you know, they're like the good ones here. I fucking hate that word, the good ones. Like, yeah. So, yes. And then you have people like Marco Rubio talking about how the Great West needs to go back and like colonize. These people couldn't even agree colonization was bad and slavery was bad, but they want to go back to their glory. Isn't that what he said? Go back to their glory. And this entire room just got up and gave him a standing ovation. Like, what do you mean? Okay, in other funny news, so I think a lot of people have heard about this as well. America is basically starting their, I don't want to say it like America, but it is America. America is starting Trump. Let me just say Trump. Trump is like at Greenland, while we are all busy with trying to help wherever place he has started wars in. He is busy in Greenland doing exactly what he said he was going to do. Like, I know. There was a time I had like a discussion here about, it was more of a reaction from a clip on the news that Mehdi Hassan was talking about the Greenland situation. This was like when it was happening, like live, when it was the situation was really current. So I was having this discussion and I was like basically reacting to Trump saying we're going to take Greenland by force. If we don't do it, China or Russia will do it. And yeah, I remember lots of people who were like, oh, they can't do it, it's not possible. They're not going to come into European territory. And I was like, really? They're not going to come into European territory? So I've been also wondering, like, what does NATO and European Union benefit from having America as an ally? Because basically, let's be honest, I know a lot of people here who are basically going to pass through this video are going to be Americans, but like, what is the point of having a friend who treats you like an enemy? What's the point? America is basically aggressive to everyone, and their relationship with other countries is usually, oh, you take this or you go to jail or you die, or it's always picking life or picking death, so you have to choose one. Okay, yeah. And that also brings me to this. There's a lot of American asylum seekers who are being deported into different African countries, and a lot of people in the comment sections of these videos are just, I think like a lot of people are just really heartless, because for one, the regular person did not create these borders. The regular person did not come up with the human rights violation law. The regular person did not basically participate in any of that. There's no regular person who came up with international law, and yet the same people who came up with these laws want to turn around and say, oh, you know, it's okay when so and so does it. We can't hold them accountable. And I was like, why can't you hold them accountable? You know, recently I was asking my husband, because he's European. I was asking him, so what is Europe going to do about America taking Greenland? And he basically was like, nothing. So I was like, so America is participating in destroying European Union, but European Union cannot come together and decide what they're going to do about it. What can they do about it? And in my opinion, it was like, why don't they stop trading with them? Why don't they stop these things? And he was like, well, they are like a major contributor to this firearms and weapons and all this stuff. But then again, I mean, it's not enough. If your friend is being aggressive towards you, wouldn't you do anything to either stop that relationship or to prove to them that it's not going to continue like this if they continue like that, you know? So I know this is just me speaking. I know I don't have like huge vocabulary to describe what I'm saying, but I know you get what I'm trying to say. I don't have these big English words to tell you what I'm trying to say, but from a normal person's perspective, I know you get what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so these are things that have been happening lately, and I've also come to realize that we regular people give the 1% so much power, and then we pretend we don't know what to do. we act like, oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? You know, they're going to do this. It's their right. What can you do? Like, we basically just act helpless. And I know sometimes these conversations sound too much. For a lot of people, they sound too much. They sound like, you're concerned about this, you should live your life, you should forget about this. But then again, your life depends on what these people decide. I have this weird feeling that this 1% ish people, they just sometimes just sit down and watch how dysfunctional the rest of us are, and they're like, I like it like that. Like, you guys are suffering. Oh, how nice, how lovely. You know, you have this conversation with a regular person, and what do you mean? What do you mean this billionaire is a good person compared to that billionaire? Bro, you're poor. You're literally poor. You have no reason. You don't know what it's like to be that billionaire. So you literally cannot speak for them. You can't speak in their place. You cannot. They can't even stand you. That's how bad it is. They can't stand you. They can't stand most of us. Okay, they can't stand most of us. And I've come to learn in my years of living on this planet Earth, before we let the rich people go to Mars, I've come to learn that we are our greatest enemies. We regular people are our greatest enemies. We participate in voting corrupt people. We participate by taking bribes from them. And as long as you're benefiting, who cares if 1 million people are dying? I mean, we have normalized that. We have normalized that if I'm okay, if my family is sorted, if we get to live in luxury, who cares who's dying because of what I said? Who cares who's dying because of conditions I've made people to get used to? Who cares, you know? And as long as we continue to do that, as long as we continue to be selfish, as long as we continue to care only about ourselves, this is going to continue happening. Yeah, we make laws, but only we make laws, but then when the enforcement gets there, it's only poor people who get to abide by those laws. But we can't take a billionaire to jail. We can't even have them do community service. I mean, why are they doing community service though if we get to go to jail? Tell me, why? Why should we do community service why should they do community service while we get to go to jail? Why? That's how we have normalized it. We have made it seem like, oh, you know, if you're rich, oh, what do you expect the poor guy to do? He doesn't even, bro, stop it. You need to stop it. We need to stop it. Honestly, we need to stop it. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with this patriarchal society where women are the enforcers of it. And then the rest of us are complaining, and then they're like, well, what are you going to do? If the man say do this, we do it. Even if that man is the most horrible person on the planet, they will be saying, oh, the Lord said this. They would basically use everything in the book to justify what is happening. Yeah, also there's like these celebrities that they're basically not 1%. I wouldn't call celebrities 1%, but maybe most of them are, but a few of them are. So there's this also part where if a celebrity commits a crime, then, oh yeah, you know, God has changed them. Now they have seen the light. Guys, let's be nice to them. And especially if that celebrity is a man. Let's welcome them into the house of the Lord. Yesterday I was watching something about Conor McGregor, I think, if I didn't pronounce his name wrongly, the boxer. Is it a UFC fighter? I don't know, but he does something between that, punching people. I don't know what to call it anymore. Yeah, and he was basically accused of this sexual assault, and like, of course, he tried to have the court throw away that case, but that didn't work out, and he ended up being charged, I think, 250K to the victim. And now he has found Jesus. Now he has found Jesus. I don't know. I don't know. I have told my husband, because we always have these discussions about race and ethnicity and countries and whatever. I have told my husband that I think the average person is just dumb, and most of us, we are just suffering from the ability to see the life for how it is. We are suffering for having to have the common sense. Basically, common sense is a punishment. Common sense is a punishment for someone who is seeing it clearly. Because the rest of the people just get to live in delusion. The rest of the people get to say things. For example, let's have this take. For example, I have had this thought that you can't convince someone that they are living a bad life. I mean, my mom used to say that. My mom used to say, you can't convince someone to better their life if they don't see the problem with their life. You can't basically convince someone that their lives suck if they don't see it. Basically, they're comfortable. They don't see the reason to have all these ambitions, do better. You know, it's the same thing with Trump supporters. They are MAGA base. So how am I going to convince them that their rights are being taken away if they don't even think they had those rights to begin with? Like, it's like I'm trying to sell them something. You're trying to tell them, these people are trying to take your rights away. And they're like, well, it's just fine. Like, they have normalized this thing. They have normalized the women are below men. A woman is supposed to listen to her husband 100%. Yeah. Even if he's wrong, he's right. He's a man. You know? So you cannot convince someone out of their comfort zone where they're already comfortable. They feel, well, you're the one who's seeing the problem, so it's your problem. That's on you. But for them, it's fine. It's not like, I wouldn't say they don't care, but I would say it doesn't affect them. They have never had to see the opposite or what that should be compared to, you know? So I hope you're getting what I'm trying to say. But then again, yeah, so like I was saying, you can't convince someone who doesn't see that they're in a bad position, that they should do better. You can't convince them that they should do better. And sometimes I kind of say, like, maybe this is why it's hard to convince such people to do better, because they don't see that they're doing something wrong. They don't see that they're living a horrible life. They don't see that their rights are being taken away. They don't see that they are handing over basically their rights to these horrible people, horrible men. Yeah, you know, so you can't really convince them that they're living a bad life. You can't convince them that their rights are being taken away. They are comfortable. They don't see it from your perspective. You are the person who's going to suffer trying to explain it to them. That, hey, you need to wake up. Hey, they're taking away these rights for women. They're taking away this. They're taking away that. And I remember I was watching The Handmaid's Tale, and I know this is just a movie and people should not take it seriously, but art as a way of trying to inform us things, even those that we pretend not to see. And yes, well, I didn't know about the writer until I saw her on this DW interview, and the reporter was basically saying, well, you try to warn people about this, and now Trump is the president. A few rights are being taken, some rights are being taken from women, some rights are being taken from minorities, and you said this. How does it, and the interesting part is she was asked, how do you feel about what you predicted coming true? Yes. Do you know how horrible it is for you to say something is going to happen and then for it to happen? And then people are like, you are right. You are right. Oh my God, you are right. No, I don't want to be right. That's the whole point. Nobody ever wants to be right about predicting something bad happening, coming to light. People get mad that you did not listen, that people tried to warn you. Multiple people tried to say, this is not right. This is not right. This is not right. Nobody ever listens. No one ever listens. But then when it happens, they want to come to you and say, you are right. It's not an I told you so moment. That's not what people are aiming for. Nobody's aiming to, I told you so, I told you so. Like, nobody cares about I told you so. Nobody wants to know that the horrible thing they predicted was going to happen, and you coming to tell them, oh, can you imagine what you predicted has actually happened? No. The whole point was for you to take it as a warning, but since you did not take it as a warning, here we are. Let's take, for example, the current regime in East Africa. So East Africa has basically turned into a modern day dictatorship state. I don't know, states. Well, Uganda was already a dictatorship, but Kenya and Tanzania were sort of pretending like, we have democracy. The good old democracy from America, yeah. The American people are good at giving people democracy, you know. They gave one to Libya. Now they can't even go there and check how their democracy is doing, right? Sometimes I feel like things are working exactly as they were designed. The people at the bottom are designed to stay at the bottom. And that's exactly how the 1% likes it. I mean, there are literally emails between Jeffrey Epstein and, is it Peter Thiel? Where they're discussing about, just a minute, where they're discussing about how Brexit is just the beginning. Like, it's better to find things on their way to crumble, like things that are already going downhill. You know, like the fact that the average person would get up and say, oh, this billionaire is a good person, this person is a good person, this one, oh, yeah. No, bro, you're just poor. You're poor, and since you have nothing going on for you, you admire these people, you know they're wrong, you don't want to admit they're wrong because you idolize them. People idolize people with money and power. And I feel like that's how we have lost the plot, because tell me why. Tell me why we are not, the law doesn't apply for everyone. Tell me why America has a right to go and dig up a sitting president of another country. And let's just face it, guys. It's not that Maduro was a dictator. It's not about that. Maduro was a dictator, and probably he could have still been a dictator. But he was only bad the minute he decided he's not going to play by American rules, American, you know, he's not going to play nice to them. And of course, when it gets to that, then suddenly, oh, he's a dictator this, dictator that, you know. But there's this comedian called Sami. I think you guys know him. He usually talks about Palestinians and Iran war. I mean, he talks about these topics that the rest of you don't want to talk about. So he was saying something like, was it him? Was it him? I don't really remember. Yes, it was him. He was saying something like the Iran war and the Venezuela takeover, it was never really about nuclear weapons. talk about weapons of mass destruction. It's not. It wasn't about that. It has never been about that. And the average person cannot even figure out that's not the point. That it was never about that. The average person cannot understand that, and that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me because North Korea, I think, has nuclear weapons. Has anybody ever gone and asked them, hey, yo, what's up? Why do you have this nuclear? No, nobody asked them because they know North Korea doesn't play like that, you know? They're not the one. You shouldn't try them. But yeah, you can go to Iran and start a war. You can go to Venezuela and stuff. Simply because if someone is sitting on liquid gold, then suddenly it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to America. Guys, we keep crying about trying to change world poverty, about leaders telling us how, oh, they have tried to help them, they have tried to pull them out of poverty. It's practically impossible. Yeah, I know at this point I'm just ranting, but like I get really angry with these things that the average person doesn't seem to grasp. Okay, the average person doesn't seem to understand that when America decides to go on a war of aggression on someone else, that person is not necessarily the problem. And the fact that the average person cannot fathom that is crazy to me. You know, it's just wild to me. Anyway, that's my morning rant. I haven't been posting on this channel, so I thought I'd do a live stream. So I'm gonna be doing this if I get the energy to wake up every early in the morning. I'm gonna be doing more of this just to keep it active and keep it going. So let me know what you think in the comment section. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, she's African. We can listen to Africans. She is this, she is that. No. There was a funny thing we used to say in school. I don't know if everybody used to say in school. We used to say, don't listen to the voice. Listen to the message. Did I get it right? I think I did. Don't listen to the voice. Don't care about the voice. Listen to the message, guys. Wake the fuck up. Okay, anyway, Turus. See you again. I'm going to come up with other extra topics to talk about that piss me off. The world is going to shit, guys. You all need to fucking wake up.